Good evening, I'm Mandy Setliff. Welcome to a special half-hour show called Creating Hope, brought to you by the VCU Medical Center. Tonight I'm standing in the lobby of the brand new research laboratory of the Massey Cancer Center. It's unlike any other facility at VCU, and in the next half hour you'll see why. Tonight we're going to talk about creating hope, not simply as a concept or a belief, but hope as a science. We know generally what cancer is, the uncontrolled growth of cells, but obviously it's far more complex than that. It's 100 different types of the disease and no baseline attack that applies to all. But we know more now than we have in the past, and that means we're able to save more lives. Tonight we meet some patients whom we consider the real heroes in the battle against cancer. Men and women who are proof that tests that start in the labs really do create hope outside them. Three men, similar in some ways, different in many, linked by a common thread.
I started out the morning thinking I had the flu, and I was getting high-dose chemotherapy by that afternoon.
I was diagnosed with the CLL by my primary care physician.
I have father and brothers and sisters died with cancer. Matter of fact, we all have died with cancer, 10 of us.
The connection between cancer patients is more than the uncontrolled growth of cells that leads to cancer. More and more, they're linked by the science of those cells. What makes them behave differently? How do we stop them? Can we prevent them from becoming cancerous at all?
Even though there are 100 different kinds of cancer, there are some common themes among them. So oftentimes the discovery in one type of cancer may lead to a breakthrough in treatment of another kind of cancer.
Most cancer research is based upon ideas about cancer and how we can eliminate cancer. But we always have to keep our eyes open to the serendipitous discovery, the chance occurrence that may represent a new opportunity to treat cancer in a new and different way.
We'll head back to the river later in the show, but first, let's meet John Meckley, a 75-year-old marathon runner and cancer survivor. He could have received the standard treatment for his chronic lymphocytic leukemia, but he decided to participate in a clinical trial involving a new drug called bryostatin.
You need to get out of your comfort zone and participate in something like this if you really want to enhance your chances for survival, whether it's leukemia or breast cancer or colon cancer. You're helping other people down the road, perhaps your children or your grandchildren.
Here's an individual who's leading a normal life, is feeling well and doing all these activities because he was able to take part in an early phase clinical trial that was available here first, in the country.
When you can say that there's been a tangible outcome, that some of these discoveries have not remained in the test tube or in the laboratory, but have actually moved out and that patients have benefited from them. I'd say that's probably the most gratifying experience we have.
These three physicians were all involved in John Meckley's care. In fact, Dr. Grant was the lead investigator on the clinical trial that made bryostatin available to patients.
I think if cures are on the horizon, it will require the concerted efforts of multiple investigators approaching the problem from very different perspectives.
With that theory in mind, Dr. Ginder came up with a plan that would allow Massey's researchers to work together in a building designed just for them, a place to advance the science of cancer and translate it into new treatments for patients. It is, he says, what a National Cancer Institute designated center does.
There are about 61 multidisciplinary hubs of people focusing the intellectual power of their university, their medical center and university, on cancer and crossing disciplines so that you can actually look at the whole spectrum of cancer from earliest, prevention to detection to treatment to end-of-life care, the entire spectrum.
The critical issue is forming that bridge from the laboratory to the clinical arena, to the bedside, so that patients are able to profit from the discoveries that develop within the laboratory.
Like Like Mr. Meckley, Mr. Drinkard is an active man in his 70s. He still works, he still plays, and he still enjoys working his land. He also participated in a clinical trial, but he's unique in this story in that he doesn't have cancer. He was referred to VCU's Massey Cancer Center because of an extremely elevated PSA, a test that may indicate the presence of cancer in the prostate. Although he learned he didn't have cancer, an extensive family history combined with the elevated PSA made him a perfect candidate for a clinical trial.
At Massey, we sponsor a number of different clinical trials which can involve patients or persons without cancer. Anything which has to do with controlling cancer in people is something that might be the subject for a clinical trial to learn how to do it better.
Mr. Drinkard is still cancer-free, and in an ironic twist, it was his brother, not him, who benefited most from the clinical trial. His nurse convinced his brother to come to Massey to get tested.
Dr. Roberts examined him and found cancer in the prostate immediately. Me and my family are real pleased with what they've done for us, especially for my brother. It's real neat to be able to have coffee with him in the morning.
There are more than 140 clinical trials available through Massey at the moment. If you think there may be one that's right for you, give us a call at 1-877-4MASSEY. You can also visit Massey's website at massey.vcu.edu. When we come back, it's the world's most precise and accurate treatment for cancerous and benign tumors, and it's right here at the VCU Medical Center.